It's gonna be a straight starting.
Straight start.
Starting.
Hey guys, it's your favorite final girl and boy, Emily and Nick, coming at you with the new episode with your favorite final
Hey, what
baby.
about me? What's
Sorry.
the big idea?
Hey, he's over there. You guys remember him?
It's me,
Say something.
Mikey.
Okay, we're doing a weekly podcast. We dissect, disembowel, and
Shred.
the best and worst slasher movies. This week on Gag Me of the Night, we're going to be doing kind of a solemn little thing called Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer with Michael Rooker.
That's his name.
It is.
I'm gonna read the box.
Box it up.
Henry is the chilling account of a man whose vocation is murder. Michael Rooker, from Days of Thunder, stars as Henry, the solitary drifter who leads his dim ex-jailmate Otis on a senseless killing spree. Picking their victims at random, their methods of execution are always different. Otis's sister, Becky, comes to Chicago to visit and unsuspectingly falls in love with Henry. Acclaimed by the critics as a masterpiece of modern horror, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, is presented here totally uncut and uncensored. 1986, didn't come out till 89. Your thoughts?
This movie is very chilling, and I'm very, very sad that it ended Michael Rooker's career before it got off the ground.
Yeah, he has no career now.
I wish he had so much talent and potential.
It does bother me that they call Otis when
It's
his
Otis.
name is Otis. Yeah, it's Ottis, but he also dies in the movie, so
Yeah,
and he doesn't die
it's
in
based
real
off Henry Lee Lucas and
yeah, but
Otis.
pretty loosely considering it's called Henry, because Becky was not of age. She was like 12, and she was also Otis's niece. But
and she was in on the killings and shit. Or at
I
least
think
a
she was only
couple
in
of
on. No, she wasn't. She was in on the only one that they didn't even actually identify her body ever, but they think that she helped kill this old woman with him, but they never concluded that they found her body.
Next week on Last Gag Me on the Left.
Right. Anyway, let's it's a really good movie. It's dark
It's awesome.
as fuck.
Yeah, it's very dark.
Don't think I'm gonna watch it again.
I like it a lot.
I do think the intro stands up with almost with Scream. Like the intro of the movie is really fucking good. But it's dark. So get us going, Mike.
All right, there's some ominous music.
It's this.
Then we can see a close-up and pan out of a dead girl. And we see somebody putting out a cigarette at a diner. They pay their bill, buy some cools, gets in his car. We see two dead people in a liquor store. And it's this really cool thing where you're looking at their corpses where it's silent,
And it's going,
but you're hearing the audio. You're hearing the audio of their murders.
Their deaths while it plays that. It's a drone.
We see Henry driving.
Sound.
There's some bloody bed sheets. There's a woman in a bathroom with a fucking bottle shoved in her mouth. And
That
again,
one's the best death, I
You're hearing
think.
the murder. There's driving on a bridge. There's a milk jug in a river, and it floats past a woman who is dead in the river. Again,
That is actually Henry Lucas probably did not kill her, but that is one. These those opening murders are actually almost perfectly recreated crime scenes of people that he said he killed, although he probably didn't. So,
well, he parks outside of a mall and starts people watching.
Dumb, but smart enough to get a bunch of food and stuff.
Cigarettes, cools for days, cartons of cools. You can talk to Henry.
My
Cops,
dad,
close your cases.
he smoked cigarettes for 1 year of his life, and he smoked cools.
I've had a few packs of cools myself. Cool 100s.
He said he didn't like it.
Cool Kings.
Yeah. So
he's at the mall. He decides to start following this lady in the station wagon, but
he picks up a hitchhiker around here, doesn't he?
Well, he follows this lady. He sees a man when she pulls up home, so he gives it up and picks up a cute hitchhiker with a guitar case.
Who I'm sure he
It's
killed.
like, oh, it's the Griswolds.
Who I'm sure he killed
I won't
because
kill them.
he brings the guitar home, but
so
it doesn't.
Becky is getting
She's not in the
picked
kill
up.
count, by the way. The hitchhiker, but I'm sure he
That
killed her.
hitchhiker's dead as
Yeah,
fuck.
but she's. It doesn't show it.
He did not just steal that girl's guitar
No,
case.
he didn't. No, he killed her.
He
But I
killed
mean,
that lady.
it was weird that they didn't even like show anything about it.
Well,
Anyway, whatever.
I think it kind of makes it more ominous because by that point you just know. You
Yeah.
know that bitch is dead.
That bitch be dead.
So then we see a girl, Becky, smoking in an airport, and her brother, Otis. Let's just call him Otis.
It's Otis in the movie, so
So Otis there to pick her up, and they're bullshitting each other. And he's like, "You look terrible." She starts crying. She had a crappy husband, and she left her
Leroy.
kid. She left her kid
Lurleen,
with
the worst name I've ever heard of in my life.
This guy who plays Otis is like the most
Tom Towell?
Yeah, but he does it so well. It is so creepy. Everything
Apparently,
about him.
he like had these fake teeth he would put on.
Yeah,
to become Otis.
Yeah. Oh, I have some
Just
trivia.
Otis.
I don't want to talk about it yet about how Michael Rooker acted during this movie, and it's fucking insane. So
Well, they're at the kitchen table, and we find out that she had been
Shame about
a
his
stripper. And Otis calls her the queen of clubs, which
Yeah.
is like the only time I laughed at this movie.
there were a couple
There's
times
another. There is
there were a couple
another.
times he said something. I was like, "You're dumb."
But Henry shows up with the guitar case.
Before he shows up, though, Otis tells Becky that he was in prison with the guy that he's living with, and that he was in there for killing his mama.
But don't say anything.
But don't say anything to him about it.
Which, of course, is the first thing she does.
Yeah.
But, yeah, she's the queen of clubs. Henry shows up, and he gives Becky his room. And then he leaves again, because he's got to go to work spraying for bugs.
But he takes up for Becky, I think.
Yeah,
This
a
is one
lot.
of the first times he takes up for her. I wrote Henry taking up for Henry, but I think you meant Henry taking up for Becky.
It's weird. In one way, Henry has like a more strict moral sense than
Otis, yeah,
does,
he does.
except when it comes to murder. Like anything else, Henry's way more
he has a
straight
weird
laced. But
code
when it
about
comes to
murder,
murder, he's
too.
like, oh,
Well, no,
it's fine.
he's a lot smarter than he was in real life about murder. When he has the conversation about modus operandi, I don't think that Henry Lee Lucas actually knew what that word was.
No. Suspension of disbelief.
disbelief, yeah,
or
sure.
whatever. Like,
But-
yeah, but aside, like the character has like a little like code of murder. Like there's a part where he gets mad at Otis for saying
Otis,
things.
yeah.
Or Otis, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's spraying for
Also,
bugs.
I said Otis be selling drugs, I guess, because when he's at the gas station, but
Yeah.
that's later. Yeah.
Selling swag,
Well,
I don't know what he's selling.
weed.
he's out of work now, but he gets to keep the bug spray, which he then
Thank
goes to the
God.
station wagon lady's house and uses that to get in. Then we see a fish cartoon, and that woman has been strangled with some kind of wire. And again, you can hear the audio of the murder while you're looking at her corpse. It's
Yeah.
just insane. So Otis is at work at a gas station, and he's going to sell some weed to this dude, but he kind of like flashes his tongue at him, and the guy's like,
He like puts his hand on his leg, he like funnels him.
yeah, later on.
Oh,
But we get the idea that Otis swings both ways.
Yeah, he does.
But
And
then-
he did in real life. I mean, in real life, Otis Toole actually like admitted
that
to
dude jerked off a fire,
murdering. Basically admitted to murdering Adam Walsh, John Walsh from America's Most
yeah.
Wanted's kid. But then he recanted, but they still think he's the one who did it because he had way too much information that was not given to the public.
Yeah.
Where they were like, no, yeah, probably did it.
But for
they still
this
don't know for sure.
story, like, Otis hasn't ever killed before.
No. Hey, what is he? What was he in there for?
I don't think they really say.
Maybe selling drugs. I don't know.
Well,
Well, he also doesn't realize that Henry's
Some
really a
redneck.
murderer for about 30 minutes of the movie.
yeah.
I mean,
He's
he
real
knows he killed his
surprised.
mom, but like besides that, he doesn't.
We're getting there. So Becky's like cleaning this fish, and she starts asking about Henry, and this is where Otis tells her about him killing his mom, but shut the fuck up about it. And he's rolling dubs after dinner. They eat fish, whatever. And Otis is smoking weed, and Henry doesn't want any. And then Otis is like, I gotta go out for an errand. And we see that Becky and Henry, like, they're playing cards. I think they're playing War, where the highest card wins. and they're talking about their family lives, and they get deep into it. And Becky talks about her dad molesting her, and
Yeah, she gets into it real fast. It doesn't take her long to be
No,
like,
she's
I'm going to
ready.
admit my whole life to
she's
you.
ready to have a soulmate. She's like, I feel like I've known you
She
for
is
years.
super ready to have a soulmate.
But,
When she asked,
and also
when
Michael
she
Rook-
asked Henry about his mother.
yeah,
he's
this is
like,
where she
"My
asked Henry
mother
about
was
his
a
mom,
whore."
and she's like, yeah, he told me not to tell you, but he
But
told
I know. Also,
That's a
Henry Lee
heavy-ass
Lucas
scene, man.
had a glass eye and like hardly any teeth. So step up here on Michael Rooker's.
Yeah. But no, it's a fucking hard ass scene.
Yeah.
Well, he says that I didn't kill her
Nice
with a bat.
character
I
study.
stabbed her. And he says it's because his mom was a whore and made him watch and
also
beat
made-
him
Does he
and made him dress up in a dress
yeah.
and let the men laugh at him.
Now that is true. She would actually make him go to school wearing a dress until the teachers finally called her about it, and they were like, I don't know.
So this whole conversation is leading up.
Listen, Madge, you gotta stop doing this.
He's like, yeah, I stabbed my mom, but on his 14th birthday, he says he shot her. And Becky's like, you just said you stabbed her. He's like, oh yeah, that's right. It's like, are you lying? Or are you just dreaming
Why are
about
you
this
just
all the
telling
time?
which different?
It seems like
Either way,
Henry
he
has
killed
killed
her.
his mom multiple times in his head.
Well, he did stab her, and I think he got sent away when he came back. He killed her in real life.
But they are like holding hands, talking to each other when all of a sudden Otis shows back up. And next thing we know, Becky is coming out of the subway, walking around Chicago. She gets a job as a shampoo girl. She gets a t-shirt. And they're like, try it on. So she's like, oh, turn your back. So
No, she comes home. Okay, after you just made it sound like she bought it and she was just out in Chicago.
Okay,
She
she's out in
brings the
Chicago,
shirt home
gets
and
a
she's like,
job,
look
gets a
what I
t-shirt,
bought.
comes home, talking to the boys.
Yeah, she's like, look what I bought. They put it on. That she makes him turn around, even though she could just go in another room.
Also, Henry's like, what does it say? It's like, oh, Henry can't read.
Yeah.
Henry can't read, and they're drinking old style in this scene.
Yep.
Also, it just says I love Chicago. I mean,
Yeah,
he
this
knows
is
what
a
hard it
Chicago
is.
movie.
Yeah.
Made by Chicago.
And it's shot in Chicago, not shot.
Even though some of these murders were not in Chicago, right?
Well,
Did Henry Lee Lucas
he
live in
admitted to
Chicago
100.
a lot?
I don't
Across
think
the
any of them did, but he was supposed to be
country.
across America because he was a drifter. But that's why all
Yeah.
those cops from everywhere, like every state, came in and they were like, well, because they thought they were going to be able to close all these cold cases, but ends up he probably didn't kill any of them. So
Well, seeing his sister in this t-shirt, Otis is like, give me a beer. When she brings him a beer, he like grabs her and tries to kiss her. And Henry's like, Otis, that's not right. And he like grabs him real hard and shakes him around and makes him apologize. And
then she says, go get y'all should go out and get a
Yeah.
beer. And I wrote, what's your motive, Becky?
well, she knows it's getting heated, knows that they need to.
Trying not to get like incestually raped.
Well, I mean,
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work, no.
So
It works for a while.
they're going out to get some beers, but they're really getting hookers. And they park in the alleyway with these two ladies of the night.
Sex
This is
workers.
so rough.
And all of a sudden, you hear one of them like struggling, and you
Hear the neck
when
snap.
the camera finally gets to the car, you see that Henry's choking one of them, and when she stops making noise, the other one gets freaked out.
You hear her neck
And
snap, though.
Yeah, Henry like Otis grabs her and like restrains her from like freaking out, but Henry just reaches over the seat and snaps her fucking neck.
Yeah, because in the kill count it
Otis is
says
freaking
no.
out.
Otis kills one of them. I think.
I think Henry did that first one. And
Yeah,
because
but
he's
at first
freaked out.
it said that she was just strangled by Henry. But you could hear her neck snap.
But fucking Henry just pulls these
both of them are
bitches out.
Henry.
He just pulls these ladies' bodies out of the car
That's
and
why I
throws them
wrote
in the alley.
That's why I wrote cool dump job.
Hey man,
That's why.
That's why I
after
wrote
a
it.
long week of work, there's nothing better than going out and just like killing a hooker.
A sex worker, Nick.
The views
Oh
of Nick
shit. Okay,
are
killing
not
a sex
necessarily
worker.
those of the other members.
I was like, oh, Otis just now knows
Of the
Henry
cast.
be murdering. Also, no
Henry
one
B.
knows.
Murder. That's what the movie should have been called.
Henry B. Murdering.
B. Murdering.
Also, no one knows nothing.
Oh,
And then I
Otis
said,
is
I
freaking
did
out.
not find this representation of Otis to be accurate, but whatever.
Otis is freaking out. He's like, I can't believe
That's
you
what
did
this
that.
movie should have been called. Henry B. Murdering. B with a period. And Otis, who gives a shit.
Also, I wrote, killing must make you have a large appetite because they come home, they're real hungry.
Yeah, they're eating burgers, drinking coffee. Otis eats some fries, and then they're at home talking about killing him. And Henry's like, "Hey, Otis, I know you're upset or whatever."
Otis was
but he's like, "It's them or
Otis
you."
was in for killing someone because he says he didn't have a choice.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
he was in
does.
for killing someone, and then maybe Henry didn't either. And he says it ain't the same. It's always. And then Henry says it's always the same, and it's always different.
We see.
That's what he says. He says it's always the same and it's always different.
Yeah.
It's either you or them.
And Otis is kind of taking this all
It's
in.
either you or the hooker in the backseat. Yeah.
Always.
But
Always, yeah.
It's always different. It's always the same.
Becky's
Nothing
shampoo.
makes
Just
sense.
and I go, just drink, Otis. It's
Up
okay.
is always down.
And then Becky cuts to Becky washing a racist woman's hair.
Yeah.
Scene
and then,
inserted to know that she has a job is what I wrote
and then
here.
Otis is watching TV, and he gets pissed off because the picture's going in and out, so he just breaks the fucking TV. And Henry's
He goes,
like,
I
"What'd
got
you do that
carried
for?"
away.
He did.
But
get
then
carried
he
away.
was like, but I have to have a TV.
So Henry's like, "Let's go shopping."
And then I said, I feel another death coming on.
So they go to the stolen TV shop, and this guy's a jerk to them because they don't have much money.
This is the cheesiest part of this movie, and there is the only
It was weird. I
comedic
wrote-
relief of
I
this
wrote
movie
weird and
at
dumb.
all.
I wrote weird and dumb.
Well, no, it's ironically the only comedic relief.
No,
Like,
there's another scene where Otis says something that's dumb, but
This is the only non-chilling moment of the movie.
I did fast forward through the next scene where they're
Well,
because it was all
when the
improv,
guy
but-
is the guy's a jerk to them.
Yeah.
He's like, "You're disrespecting me. Get the fuck out of here. What are you, stupid?" And Henry just like goes off and starts stabbing him with a soldering iron, and then they put a TV on his head and plug it in and burn his head
though,
up.
he had also said he would give him a deal with the camcorder, which
Yeah.
is important because they take the camcorder as
They
well.
do take
when
the biggest, nicest
They
TV
don't
in
have
the
enough money
camcorder.
for it.
Right.
And the whole crew, Becky, Henry, and Otis, they're all dancing to Psycho by the Sonics. And I was happy to hear that song.
And
out of
that
nowhere.
entire scene was improvised by those three actors. They just were like, take the camcorder and do something for a little while. We'll cut it.
So Becky and Henry kind of start to kiss, and Otis is like, keep going, keep going. He wants to make a fucking porno movie. But Henry gets shy.
He's so much grosser than Henry, even like. It's,
Oh yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
No,
Like,
yeah.
Henry's like...
In real life, he was,
If Henry
too.
wasn't a killer, he kind of seems like a normal guy. Whereas Otis just seems like a total asshole
Well, the thing
wild
is
card.
that in real life, Henry probably, if he killed. He
killed his
definitely
mom.
killed his mom. He might have killed 2 other people. Besides that, I don't think he killed anybody else. Otis Toole killed a lot more people than him in real life. He was actually more psycho, I think, than Henry Lee Lucas.
The next scene
but
is Otis with his
whatever.
parole officer, where he says he's working 2 days a week at the gas station or whatever.
And the parole officer's
and it's
really
cut-
nice to him, actually.
Yeah, he's like, "All right, you're doing great. I gotta cut this short." And then Otis is selling reefer. The parole officer wouldn't like that, and he ends up getting in the
Touches
car
the
with the
guy's
kid.
leg, yeah.
He squeezes the kid's leg and gets punched in his fucking mouth. And then we see Otis
he
and Henry
says-
talking. Henry is like, or Otis is
Otis
like, "I
says
gotta kill. I'm gonna kill him."
I was all right. No, he says I ought to cut his head off, and I was like, that's weird because that's what he did to Adam Walsh.
And Henry's
saying-
like,
And he
"You
hadn't
can't
admitted it
kill
at that
this
point.
kid. You've been seen with him, but you can kill somebody else."
Don't you think that's weird though that he had that they had that quote in there because that's what he if he killed
I
Adam
didn't-
Walsh
I
that's
didn't
what he
know
did
that.
and that is way before he admitted to it like decades.
I think it's even weirder that was Joe Walsh's nephew from the Jones Gang. And the
John
Eagles.
Walsh's son.
No, yeah. But
Same family.
Joe Walsh was his brother.
Nick, you and your Eagles humor.
But I was like, anyway, now Otis is a killing machine.
I
So
like the James Gang.
So he's like, "Let's go for a ride." They park the car, and Henry shows him his gun. He's like, anybody can get a gun, Otis," because Otis doesn't realize that he's packing, I guess. And so they stop.
That's what
pull
he
up the hood,
explains,
and
starts
flag down
explaining.
help.
well,
And,
that's what he explains is the MO.
part of it. There's another part where
There's
they're
another
filming
part where they're
a
filming,
bum fight.
yeah, but where they're filming a bum fight. But he does say that explaining
He's like,
changing MO to
never
throw
kill,
the
and
police
this is where he's like, "Never kill people that
the
you've been
same
seen
way,
with.
and don't kill them the same way."
Don't use the same gun twice." Yeah. So he shoots the guy 3 times. That's the very next thing. He shoots the guy 3 times, and they just drive off, leaving the guy laying there.
I'm sorry.
Then they're filming the bum
It
fight.
is during the bum fight that he says that.
It looks like 2 bums are rolling this other bum for his possessions, and they're just recording this shit. a little ahead of their time. You know,
He says, "Don't use the same gun twice."
this one he's
A
like,
little ahead
I
of
was
their
like,
time.
don't have an MO.
Henry was not this smart. So.
Keep on the move.
And then someone who says, "Well, no plan is perfect."
And then we see them pulling up to a house.
Is that? Oh, that's during.
And this is when we see
I guess.
Otis on TV molesting a woman while
This
there's
is
a
the
man
worst
tied up in the
fucking
floor.
thing I've seen a lot. Like, I Spit on Your Grave.
He says no plan is perfect before the scene.
Last House on the Left and all this shit, but this
It's
think
rough.
this is the roughest thing that I've ever seen. That is like mainstream,
I mean-
mainstream enough for like these types of movies.
Like, yeah.
Them watching.
But this is not an exploitation movie. It's made like an art movie.
Well,
I've seen Real Death, and this fucking
I
looks
would
like.
imagine, and I don't
So
know.
this looks like a serial killer's fucking
Yeah, this
real
looks like the real
camcorder,
shit.
like footage
this, how
of
it
killing.
really goes
from
down.
It's hard to
It's
watch.
So it's
hard to
so
take notes on.
Fucking hard.
It's not that hard for me to watch, but I mean, yeah, it looks real.
I wince every time I see this part of this movie.
So a kid walks in, and Henry just jumps on him and ends up snapping his neck after a struggle. And then Otis snaps her neck. And then he
you
starts
hear
kissing her, and he starts sucking on her
at some point,
titties.
you hear the husband in the background, and then you hear Henry stabbing him.
And he uses the lady's corpse to wave high at the camera. And yeah, because like Henry's holding the camera, but when the kid comes in, he drops the
it,
camera.
but you
and
can still see
the
what he's
angle,
doing.
You can see what's happening.
Yeah, but you never see the father. He's behind the camera. He must be behind there because you hear.
It's behind the drop. You see him when Henry still has the camera before the kid comes in. You see him in the.
Oh yeah. Well, you don't see him when he's getting killed though. You hear it. You hear him being stabbed, but you don't see it.
Well, Otis starts going for this lady's pantyhose, and Henry has to stop him from fucking the corpse, I guess. And then it pans away from
Moral
a TV,
compass.
and these dudes have been we're just watching them watch a tape
There's rules.
of them.
Oh yeah,
And
we watch them rewatching.
Otis rewinds it and plays it in slow motion. And then Becky's on the phone with Lurleen and her mom.
That's when I realized she had a kid. I didn't realize Lurleen was her kid. Until
Lurleen's
then.
her kid.
Yeah.
And Henry and Otis are taping girls on the street looking for their next victim. And they're driving, and Otis has been
this part made me
filming
laugh.
out of the...
This part made me laugh.
He's filming out of the window and hits something with the camera and starts blaming it on Henry.
Because he goes, "Look what you did," and it made me think of, "Look what your brother did to the door." So it did make me laugh at that. And also, I was like, shouldn't they go back and get the camera? Because I didn't realize.
No, there's a tape that was in it.
I know, that's why I was like, shouldn't they go back and get that? But then in the next scene, he's watching the
Well, at
death
first,
scene again.
it
So
looks
it's
like he broke the... It could have maybe been repaired, but when Otis is pissed, he throws it
but
out
the
of the
tape
window.
would definitely still fucking work. I was like, maybe
aren't
not.
The most logical
Except
cats.
for the film that was in there was probably just from the bum fight and not from the murder, because they still had that at the house, because he watches it. There's another scene where he's watching it after that in slow mo. He's watching it again in slow mo after the camcorder breaks, because I remember thinking,
Yeah.
did they just leave that fucking tape there and thinking it was a family death? But then
Yeah, he's
I saw
watching it
him
again
watching
later.
it again, so I was like, okay, well, I guess that's
He ends up kicking him out of the car.
Whatever.
Otis is like on the street. But then we see Becky and Henry at home. Becky informs us she quit her job and is going to go back home. I think it's Texas. But
yeah.
she wants him to go with her. And it turns out Leroy's in jail for murder. And Henry's like, okay, let's do it, I think. But he's like, let's go. I have a new visa, so let's go have a steak dinner.
He doesn't really look like he likes her wanting to leave.
He doesn't emote anything.
Because of she didn't want Lurleen. She was like, well, I thought I was going to want Lurleen to come here, but I don't because of the city. It's not safe. And then we find out that Otis had a dinner date, which I find very hard to believe.
Well,
but
Henry and her go on a dinner date, and when they come back, Otis is asleep on the
that's
couch
what it
with
was.
the
I
tape
guess I got
on.
confused.
Otis is asleep with the tape on.
Yeah, good thing Henry came in first.
Henry comes in, turns it off, and Henry.
Dude, this scene is rough as fuck.
No.
So Becky comes on to Henry, and they start like kissing, kind of, but you can tell Henry does not know what to do because he knows at this point he doesn't want to kill her, you know. But Otis interrupts, and
I did write Becky's DTF, but Otis cockwalks.
Otis interrupts, and Henry's like, "I'm going out for cigarettes." And,
Yeah. And
this
not
is the funniest
since
part of the
Superman
movie.
died.
What's that?
Someone says something, not since Superman died, and I was like, what?
Well, yeah.
When he goes,
I don't remember
it's before
that.
the fuck that. No, this is before. I said cigarettes, not since Superman died. What the fuck? I don't know. But then the fuck the bears thing.
Yeah, the guy's like, "Hey, how about those bears?" After he sells them a couple of packs of schools.
And Henry goes, fuck the bears.
Henry's just like, "Fuck the bears." He's like,
And then I thought of
"You know
the
what you're talking
bears.
about." So then he goes out and he talks to this lady who's got a little dog, and I was just waiting
That
for him
lady
to snap
was so
to
hideous.
fuck with that little dog or her. But he lets her go, and he goes home to find that Otis,
I said it's nice to see Henry on a non-killing stroll, but maybe thinking about it, but doesn't.
maybe his burgeoning love for Becky is calm.
You know, it was nice to see him
storm.
just, in the wild, not killing people for once. But
Well, he
maybe
could-
thinking about it, but not doing it. But that woman kind of was asking for it, honestly. She was the worst.
When he gets home, he finds that Otis is raping the shit out of his sister, and he's starting to strangle her. He's not just raping her; he's
I thought
going
this
to
scene was
kill her.
fucking awesome.
And when Henry comes in, he beats the shit out of
It's
Otis.
fucking awesome.
But Otis grabs a bottle and breaks over Henry's head, and he's about to fucking shoot him with the gun when all of a sudden Becky comes from behind and stabs him in the eye with a comb. Like
That shit
That
is
shot-
a good effect.
in the eye.
Well, the head wasn't that great, but it was a good effect, yeah.
And Henry finishes it off. It takes him a while of stabbing motherfucking Otis in the heart with this comb, and I guess some combs are sharp.
Yeah,
Maybe
Yeah, they have
metal.
sharp
points
ends,
at the
yeah.
end, yeah, some of them do.
I don't know what you'd call that.
A comb with a
If
with
you
a
ever
handle.
comb your fucking hair, Mike, you'd know.
No, you can. They're just the
I,
ones that are
I
like
use a
that.
brush.
Me too.
Well, Henry dismembers
Brush is
Otis,
first and then the comb is later.
and they use some luggage to carry Otis's body out. And they leave.
No, let's talk about the fact that he dismembers him for a long time in the bathtub, and there is a
Yeah,
really cool shot of him pulling his head out and putting it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a cool shot.
Yeah,
it was a
yeah.
good. That
No,
was a
I know
better
exactly
head
what
than
you're
one they
saying,
used for her to like stab the comb into.
Well, they leave and they drop Otis's body off of a bridge into a river or Lake Michigan. I don't know what the fuck ever is in Chicago.
I said Becky, you should shut up at one point. That was before, and I
Becky's-
was like, but
Becky's
the sound of him
scared as
cutting
shit.
Otis's head off was, ugh. And then she goes, "That was so awful." And I was like, "No fucking duh." Also, I would be careful considering he just dismembered his friend. So, also, what about Lurleen? But she says, "I love you," and he goes, "I guess I love you too."
I
And I was
guess
like,
I love you
"That is
too."
always the response you want to hear." Like, is I guess I love you too.
Well, then
Well, they're not going to go straight to Texas. They're going to go to his sister's ranch in California. That's his plan. And they end up at a motel, and Henry's in the bathroom shaving. It's kind
And
of
she can play the
iconic scene.
guitar.
And she has a guitar.
She has the hitchhiker's guitar.
And the next day we see Henry shaving again. Oh, wait.
without.
He leaves alone.
you don't- yeah.
We see Henry get in the car alone, and he stops at the side of the road, takes a bloody suitcase out of his car or trunk, something.
So out of the trunk.
Takes the trunk out of the trunk, and he
Okay,
leaves it on
it's
the
a
side of the road.
suitcase out of the trunk.
It
And
kind of stays on there for a minute. You can see the
It's
blood.
a bloody suitcase.
You know that
You know
Becky's-
she's in there.
You know that Becky's in the suitcase.
Yeah, it was a cool last shot.
And then he drives
Yeah.
off and the credits roll. And Henry's going to keep on killing.
You know?
You gonna kill?
Okay,
it's
kill
gonna
count.
do.
One,
Kill count.
woman stabbed to death by Henry at 2 minutes opening shot. 2, store clerk. 2 and 3 are both the store clerks. They're shot by Henry at 4 minutes. 4 is a sex worker, I assume from the sounds.
Prostitute.
And I'm using the proper terminology. Stabbed through the mouth by Henry with a wine bottle at 5 minutes. 5 is a woman who's drowned in a swamp by Henry at 6 minutes. 6 is a woman who's strangled by Henry with a cord at 16 minutes. 7 and 8 are sex workers that both have their necks snapped by Henry at 34 minutes. 9 is a TV salesman. He's stabbed by Henry and then his head is smashed on a TV and electrocuted by Henry and Otis at 44 minutes. 10 is a man offering help. It is shot by Otis at 51 minutes.
Could be anybody.
11 is this is where the family deaths are. 11 is the son whose neck is snapped by Henry at 50. Otis snaps the woman's neck at about the same time. So it's about at like 55 minutes and 30 seconds. And then the husband is stabbed to death by Henry at 56 minutes. Otis is number 14. His eye is gouged by Becky, and then he's stabbed to death by Henry at 1 hour and 11 minutes. And then 15 is Becky. We don't know how, but she's murdered by Henry at 1 hour and 20 minutes. Trivia. I'm not going to go into Michael Rooker, all of his stuff.
Yeah.
He's been in a lot of stuff. Okay. The budget was $111,000, and it grossed. It took like 3 years for it to come out, and it was just on rental and I don't think. I think it had.
It was rated X.
No, it wasn't.
Or NC-17.
It was it was unrated, but it was almost it. It played at a Chicago Film Festival early on, but then it didn't play again for a while. They played it again later on in 1989. That's when it got its actual release. But it grossed $609,000, almost $610,000. I'm sure that's because it had a very very limited release. Because I don't think that has to do with the VHS sales or anything like that.
Yeah.
The film was shot on 16 millimeter in 28 days with a budget. Well, I already said that. But it has since gone on to earn millions on VHS and DVD, as well as the theatrical re-release that they did at some point. One of the major reasons the film did not emerge for a long time after it was finished, because it was filmed in 85, premiered one time at a Chicago Film Festival in 86, then it didn't come out till 89, is that the producers had expected John McNaughton to make a straightforward slasher horror movie. They didn't know what to do with the darker, more complex, and less violent. As hard as it was to believe the original script was much bloodier and more violent than the final shooting draft. Film he created, and felt that this version had a limited box office potential because it wouldn't bring in a good-sized teenage audience. It probably would have. I don't know if they would have liked it, but it would have brought them in. But it's often mistakenly claimed that it didn't come out immediately due to being tied up in censorship. And although this is true to a degree, the majority of the delay occurred because the executive producers, Malik B. Ali and Waleed B. Ali, were somewhat underwhelmed by the film and weren't sure it was even worth their time releasing on VHS, let alone theatrically. As McNaughton says himself, they just put it on the shelf. Several years later, Chuck Perrello, who would go on to direct Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer 2, which came out in 96, saw the film and was deeply impressed. Perrello was working for the Ali brothers at the time, and he began to lobby them to do something with it. He convinced them to let it be screened at another Chicago Film Festival in 89, where after getting a glowing review from Chicago's Tribune's Rick Cogan, the film was accepted into the 1989 Telluride Festival and subsequently the 1990 Splatterfest Festival, becoming the sensation of both festivals. At this point, the Ali brothers realized they had something unique, and that's when they decided to release it. It was initially given an X rating, but along with Peter Greenaway's The Cook, the Thief, his wife and her lover, and Pedro something's Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down. But you were right. I'm sorry. This was this movie and those other two movies were the reason for the them making an NC-17.
Yeah.
Because there was
it does have a value, artistically, yes. But
yeah, because X was always considered to be pornographic. Yeah. And so that's why Romero just skipped the MPAA, put it out unrated, because he didn't want to get an X rating because it would be considered pornographic. So NC-17 rating came along to differentiate between an adult film and something that was more
around
extreme
this time,
than R.
like the early 90s.
Yeah. So when he first submitted to the MPAA and they gave it an X rating, he asked them what he could change to receive an R rating. The board members told him bluntly that there were no possible edits that would move the film out of X. And McNaughton decided on the spot.
They objected to the moral tone.
But now here's where I got the unrated part. And McNaughton decided on the spot he would not challenge the X and would instead move for the film to be released as it eventually was unrated. Yeah. So it was released unrated. But I guess they made the NC-17 for the theater, maybe.
No, it's NC-17. That 30-year re-release thing, that was in NC-17.
When it came out on theater. Oh, the second time. Okay. Yeah. Even members of the filmmaking team themselves have been disturbed by the film. Composer Robert McNaughton, who I guess is that guy's brother. The
He
director's
did a really
brother.
good job with the music.
Oh, he did. Couldn't watch the film all the way through upon first seeing it. And Tom Towles, who played Otis, has only ever seen the film once at the Splatterfest Film Festival in 1990. Michael Rooker said he was working as a janitor when he auditioned for the part of Henry and went on to audition in his uniform. He got the part. He continued to wear the same jacket, but he only had one jacket. And since that, he was still working as a janitor in between. He would take it off before he killed anyone, quote unquote, so he wouldn't get blood on it. Actor Michael Rooker remained in character for the duration of the shoot, even offset. He didn't associate or socialize with any of the cast or crew during the month-long shoot, and director John McNaughton made sure...
Shouldn't he have been partying with Otis if he was in character?
I don't know. He wasn't really that good of friends with him, but...
he remained in character, so he killed people?
Yeah. But just, no, it gets weird. Hold on. So director John McNaughton made sure Rooker was the only person on set to have a private dressing room. According to costume designer Patricia Hart, she and Rooker would travel to the set together each day, and she never knew from one minute to the next if she was talking to Michael or to Henry, as sometimes he would speak about his childhood background, not as Michael Rooker, but as Henry. Indeed, so in characters did Rooker remain that during the shoot, his wife discovered she was pregnant, but she waited until filming had stopped before she told him.
Damn.
Yeah.
Smart lady.
Yeah. The scene in the living room where Otis films Henry and Becky was completely improvised. Many of the insults which the television salesman shouts at Henry and Otis, for example, I can see you've had some college, were improvised. The 4 murder
These
scenes...
are like theater actors.
Yeah. The 4 murder scenes seen in the first few minutes of the film were all based on real-life murders, which Henry Lee Lucas claimed to have committed, especially the first shot where the body of the nude woman is posed exactly in the same position as the victim in a case involving Lucas.
She wasn't wearing orange socks in the movie, but...
I don't think that was Orange Sock. I don't think that's Orange Sock's girl, no. Because I've read a lot about... I mean, I've seen a bunch of stuff about Orange. That's not how she was found. But,
yeah.
So, okay, I went into this a little bit. The character of Henry is loosely based on Henry Lee Lucas. As in the film, Lucas was acquainted with a fellow convict named Otis Toole, although in the film, the character's name is only given as Otis. Additionally, Lucas became the lover of Toole's 11-year-old niece, Frida, a.k.a. Frida, quote, Becky Powell, who often went under the pseudonym Becky, although in the film Becky is Otis' sister rather than his niece is considerably older, who lived with Lucas and Toole for a while. Lucas ultimately killed Becky. Lucas's mother did indeed work as a prostitute from her house, often forcing him to watch her while she had sex and occasionally making him wear a dress. The real Henry's father did indeed lose both of his legs in an accident, prior to which he had been a truck driver. However, the actions of the fictional Henry are inspired not by Lucas's real crimes, but by his fabricated ones. In prison, he confessed over 600 murders, claiming he had committed roughly 1 murder a week from 1975 to 1983. Most of them almost all of them turned out to be false, while many could not be substantiated. Lucas was of below average intelligence and would simply confess to every unsolved murder brought before him. Doing this ensured better conditions for him, as law enforcement officers would offer him incentives to confess, such confessions were also increased his fame with the public, and Lucas was eventually convicted of 11 murders and sentenced to death for the murder of Becky Powell. The death sentence was later commuted to life in prison by George W. Bush, then governor of Texas. His mother, Viola, was a prostitute. Eventually, Lucas's school teachers complained about the cross-dressing, and court order put an end to it. So, in December 1949, his alcoholic father died of hypothermia after drinking to intoxication and collapsing outside during a blizzard. Whoa. Yeah, bizarrely, the origins of this film are to be found in a never-made documentary about professional wrestling.
Really?
Yeah, I put this in here for you. John McNaughton had worked for the Ali brothers, the producers, as a delivery man with their video equipment rental business during the late 70s. And Waleed Ali and Naughton had always vowed to make a film together at some stage in the future. Several years later, the Ali brothers hired McNaughton to direct a documentary about organized crime in Chicago titled Dealers in Death, Murder and Mayhem in America. The film was well received and turned a profit, and the brothers were happy with his directorial work. As such, they hired him to shoot a second documentary, this time about professional wrestling in Chicago.
It must have been the AWA.
A collection of previously thought lost VHS tapes showing wrestling in Chicago during the 50s had been unearthed, and the brothers had agreed to purchase the tapes from the owner to use in the documentary. However, when the brothers went to buy the tapes, the owner doubled his price at the last minute, and they pulled out of the deal.
Oh.
Waleed then had the idea to use the money set aside for the documentary to make it a feature film, and he kept McNaughton as the director, offering him $100,000 for a horror movie. He didn't care what the movie was about; he just wanted something in the horror genre. McNaughton had no idea what to write about till he saw an episode of 2020 about Henry Lee Lucas, and decided that his subject matter was not going to be a demon, a monster, or an extraterrestrial, but a normal human being. So that's where that came from. This is. I'm not even talking. That's about him killing his mom. Whatever. Real Becky. Although forensic evidence alone was inconclusive and the coroner stopped short of positively identifying her, some think she wasn't even murdered. Producer and composer Stephen A. Jones was paid $100 for his 14 months work on the film.
Jesus.
Yeah. John McNaughton went on to direct Wild Things, just FYI. After filming the family massacre scene, Tom Towles insisted that Lisa Temple, who was the mom, go to the ER because he was convinced he had actually injured her neck when he quote-unquote snapped it. Temple herself was confident no damage had been done, but for Towles' peace of mind, she went and eventually received a clean bill of health. Over time, the story has evolved into an urban myth involving Temple needing to go to the hospital, having been traumatized by her performance in the scene, due to the filmmakers concealing the content from her prior to the shoot. So that's not true. It was she actually just went because the guy playing Otis was like, please go to the doctor and make sure I didn't hurt your neck.
Yeah.
That was the only reason. Yeah. Throughout the film, any sound of a neck breaking is really a styrofoam cup being crushed near the microphone. The sound of Henry cutting off Otis's head is a plastic mesh grapefruit bag being slowly torn apart. I thought it was pretty cool. It was a good sound. I mean, like, it worked. During the screening of the film...
Makes me feel better about seeing this movie.
Yeah. During the screening of the film at the 1989 Telluride Festival, nearly half of the audience walked out during the family massacre. When the film finished, it was met with complete silence, as the audience were so stunned by what they had just seen and didn't know how to react.
That's awesome.
As John McNaughton was leaving the theater, he was approached by a distressed man who informed him, "You can't do that."
There's no repercussions.
That is
for him.
art.
McNaughton asked him what he meant, and the man explained that you couldn't make a film about a murderer who gets away in the end without punishment or without any kind of moral resolution, reiterating, "You can't do that." He's just said it again. McNaughton thought about it for a moment and then said to the man, "We just did."
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In the original script, the family massacre scene was longer. After the three family members have been murdered, Otis molests the body of the mother and performs full necrophilia with it. Prior to shooting, however, John McNaughton made the decision to abandon this part of the scene.
I like Henry stopping him.
Yeah, me too. When Otis attempts to rape Becky, he begins to choke her with an item of clothing. Arnold actually passed out while filming this scene. That's Arnold is the woman who played Becky.
Tracy Arnold.
During the shooting of Becky emerging from the subway, two men can be seen at the top of the stairs having a heated discussion. These men were not extras. They were simply people who were really having an argument, and when the film crew arrived to shoot, they wouldn't move. So John McNaughton decided to just put him in the shot.
I like it.
Yeah. The film makes use of many uninterrupted takes. The scene when Henry and Otis drive through the night and kill the man who stops to help goes on for almost 2 minutes without a single interruption. That's all the trivia I have. That's a lot of trivia. So,
Yeah.
Well, I would like to just talk for a second about the actors. The director John McNaughton made another movie called The Borrower.
It's not an actor.
It's also got Tom Towles. About the actors. But The Borrower has Otis and Becky in it. Otis is also in Blood In, Blood Out, one of my favorite HBO movies about gangs. He is...
Oh, I love that movie. I forgot about Blood In, Blood Out.
In the Night of the Living Dead.
So hosed down.
It's not as good. The best one's Banging in Little Rock.
That's a documentary. Blood In, Blood Out's a
I'm just saying.
3-hour movie about like Hispanic.
I thought it was a
a
documentary.
Hispanic family.
You can watch it on YouTube.
Hey, Mike.
It's awesome.
Mike, why don't you get to the actors?
Well, he was also the jerk in Night of the Living Dead remake.
And in the movie The Jerk. Just kidding. You mean the guy like Harry?
He was Steve Martin's stunt double.
Tom Towles is one of the main characters in the Night of the Living Dead remake.
Yep.
He was also in a bunch of Rob Zombie movies.
Ugh, yeah, I know. I saw that. I was like, nah, not even gonna talk about it.
This Michael Rooker's in like
Everything. Well, I thought we already said we weren't going to talk about that.
That's
Don't
it.
talk about him.
That's it.
The other actors went on to do some stuff, not a lot, but
No, I mean Tom tells us
no, I meant besides those two, like the
okay.
others, like that was the wife in the movie. That was her first movie. She went on to do a few things, but not anything super substantial.
This movie is scary.
What do you give it?
I'm gonna give it like a really medium 4.
Medium 4.
Like not loose, but not hard.
Yeah.
4 on the nose?
Like a chubby.
No. There's reasons. This
semi.
movie is like disturbing. I remember for some reason one time when I was on tour with a band, I was in Florida and I was laying on a couch at some band place's house. And I chose that to watch, and nobody was around. And I don't know why I did, and it gave me a weird fucking vibe for the rest of like the
whole
couple
tour?
weeks. Yeah. I was like, man, this is very
The
strange.
Henry tour.
The Henry tour.
I had seen it before and everything, but it was just like, man, I just had it in my mind and like segmented. And I will say this about this movie: I am besides like a really small bit part in Tombstone. I'm really sad about Michael Rooker's like career. I think he
we really had so much potential.
underutilized, and I think he could have gone places, man.
I give it a 3.5 to a 3.75. It's good.
3.66?
Well, rewatchability has a lot to do with my ratings sometimes. Rewatchability adds a lot to a score for a movie. I think it's a really well done movie. It has very low rewatchability. Obviously, I mean, who wants to watch this over and over?
I agree with that.
I do too, and that's why I'm going 4. It would be higher because it's so tight.
It's well done. Yeah,
so
The
well
rewatchability
made.
aspect
The
of
acting
it
is
is
amazing. You think that you just saw this in 1990. You think these people are fucking psychos. What the fuck?
Sorry.
Who made this shit? It's insane. It's so stark.
No, it looks real. It's
I give it a 4. It's
like uncomfortable.
I watched this and A Clockwork Orange over at a sleepover at my house one night.
Clockwork Orange is more comfortable than this
It
shit.
is.
Well, yeah, but it was a crazy 1-2 punch. Clockwork Orange, then Henry.
My dad told me. I remember when I wanted to rent Clockwork Orange, and he was like, "It's got a really bad scene in it that I don't think you should watch." You would now. Which scene do you think he would be
The
talking
lady getting
about?
killed with a dick.
The rape scene, at the beginning. You would think.
No, those are two different scenes, but yeah,
You would think it would be the singing in the rain rape scene, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't it, and that wasn't it. The scene that he didn't want me to see was the sped up threesome, and I was like, so that was
It's
what
like
you were
people
like
can
bothered
enjoy
by. So
I
fucking
don't want
weird.
my
I was
daughter
like,
to know
why?
people
Why do
can
you?
enjoy
So you're
sex.
fine. Like, but the rape scene's fine. I like whatever. But my dad's
was
a
yeah.
weirdo. So
It was a weird night.
stay gagged on.
Stay gagged on old style.
Otis Tool's
Stay
head.
Henried on Otis.
Stay gagged on throwing trash
Stay
in the river.
oddest on Henry.
Say honest.
Oddest.
Say gagged on. I don't want
Little
to.
boy's broken arms.
Yeah, gross.
Broken necks.
Anyway, and stay gagged on all of our social media: Instagram, TikTok, Gag Me with the Knife Podcast, Twitter, Gag Knife Pod.
Yeah, this
Become
is
a
a depressing
Patreon
one.
for. Become a Patreon for bonus episodes, member shout outs, early access to episodes, and fan
Hey,
requested
Katie,
episodes at
say something to us.
www.patreon.com/gagmotherpodcast. Hey, Katie. Buy our merch at gagmotherpodcast.com. And we
I'm
will see
sad.
you next
Me too.
time. It will be nicer
Serial
for
killing
you.
sucks.
It'll be Bird with
Don't
the
do
Crystal
it,
Plumage
kids. Don't
next.
be a serial killer.
Don't
hurt
be a
yourself
serial
either.
killer. You'll just be, and gross. Bye.
I was sitting at the corner waiting for the light to change. When up come a Cadillac in the very next lane. chance. I got nothing to lose and no particular place to go. I'm too young for these blues and too old for this rock and roll. Oh, think about it, baby. Things could be like they used to be. Oh, I ain't afraid and I just don't care. The road looks good to me. I'm too young for these blues and too old for this rock and roll. I'm too young for these blues and too old for this rock and roll. About it, baby, things could be like they used to be. I ain't afraid and I just don't care. The road looks good to me. I'm too young for these blues and too old for this rock and roll. I'm too young for these blues and too old for this rock and roll. Sometimes I think the whole world's going insane. And sometimes I feel like I don't even know my name. Well, sometimes I feel like a motherless child, lost, crazy, ooh, and running wild. I'm too young for these blues and too old for this rock and roll. I got nothing to lose and no particular place to go. Yeah, I'm too young for these blues